In this movie, we'll take a brief look at the new NX Coatings application. This module enables the creation and definition of paint and coatings in the NX part file. This enables us to clearly define where a coating is to be applied, what material to use, evaluate the mass properties impact of the coating, and determine the quantity of the coating material. Let's begin by looking at the brake caliper. To begin with, we need to create a coating region. To do that, we will select the faces to be used in this coating region. Because I'm going to initially dip this part into a vat of acid to clean it, I will pick all of the faces. Now let's go ahead and create a coating layer. In order to create a coating layer, I need to give it a name, so we'll call this dip. Give it a material, sulfuric acid, a thickness of 0, a coverage ratio, and then we can give it a note. Select the region that we just defined, say OK, and I have created my first coating layer. Okay, let's create the next layer, which will be the primer. Select coating layer. This time we'll pick this region I already have created here. We'll call it primer. And when I assign the material, we're going to use this alkyd primer that I have. Notice that a thickness, default thickness comes in for that primer, a coverage ratio, and a note for that primer comes in. And that's because I've defined this in the NX material library. If I say OK, you'll notice that I have a coating created. Let's do this one more time. This time, for this coating layer, we're going to paint the part. So let's key in paint. And the physical material here, let's pick a nice red color. Notice that, again, the thickness, coverage ratio, and note have all come in. So we can make use of that previously selected coating region. They can be used multiple times. And now we've painted the part. If you'll notice down here, this is our coating browser, and you can see that as I create a coating layer, the information gets written to this browser, such as the material, what the thickness was, the note I put in here, the color of it, and then as we build them, you also get information on the mass that's being added. So here's the volume, the mass, the area. As I create the coatings, it adds that information to this browser. Now this browser will allow us to edit coatings. Let me show you now how we can create coating regions with a boundary. So in this case, we want to paint the AJS lettering on there. So let's go ahead and create a boundary that'll let us do that. Pick a face, pick my boundary objects, and then I'm going to have to select the region. I don't want that. Instead, I want the A, the J, and the S. Say OK, and I've got that region created. Now let's go ahead and create a coating layer, and we're going to call this lettering. Pick ink and define the coating region. Say OK, and you'll notice that just that easy, I can create a coating layer with boundaries so that it's not a complete face, but it's only a portion of a face that I wanted to coat. If we look at the Assembly Navigator, you'll notice that each one of the materials that I have created is written as an NGC, a non-geometric component, under this part file, and this material will tally up each one of the materials that I've put in the part, and the quantity be placed in here so that it can later be used on the bill of materials or in the parts list. Now let's take a look at how the coatings have impacted the mass on this part. So if I come and open up the Mass Properties panel, do an update, and you'll notice that the mass properties have been updated to reflect values both from design, which is the raw design, or from coatings, and notice how the values are different. So from design, we had this value, and then from when the coatings are applied, this value here. Not only is it the mass and the weight, but you also get the volume and some additional mass properties. Okay, next we will annotate these coatings. In MBE, I've written a rule that's called coating note, and if I select that, say update, you will notice that the notes for each one of these coatings has been created. Not only does it describe what material to be used, but if we click on it, you can see that it indicates what faces are made up for this coating. This provides detailed information of exactly where the coating needs to be applied, and it can be used downstream. It can be shared into a JT file as well. Now let's take and add the coating information to the parts list in a drawing. Say parts list and go ahead and place it. And notice that each material is listed as well as the quantity of that material. And the final thing that I wanted to show you is that as we've been creating this coating material, we've been adding visualization information to the coatings, and let's apply those. Render, Advanced Studio, and notice the part has been rendered. And that wraps up NX coating demonstration. I hope you go out and take a look at this new application. It provides a lot of capability. Thank you.